When you're going through a dark night of the soul, how easy is it to just flail and cry and go through those deep, dark shadows by yourself? It's not easy at all. But if you have somebody there to witness or to be in a space of understanding and acknowledging what you are going through, sometimes that can make all the difference in the world. That is what holding space is. It is about being a witness. It is about creating a safe space for somebody to go through something that they don't have to go through alone if they don't want to. And this is Maggie's entire soul purpose. Welcome to the Akashic Recordings. My name is Annette DeLu. I'm an Akashic conduit, channel, and spiritual guidance coach. What you will be hearing today is a real session with one of my clients. All the names have been changed for privacy, and of course, with their permission, we are privileged to hear these beautiful stories to allow us a small glimpse into the Akashic Records. If you would like to book a session with me and be part of the podcast, please feel free to head to my website at infinitesoulLove.com. When you book your session, just make sure to check the box that you would be interested in having your session utilized for the podcast. For those of you who really wanted to sign up for Soul Discovery Workshop, I have great news for you. You can head to my website, and on the homepage, if you go to the little box that describes Soul Discovery Workshop, there is a button there that says sign up for the wait list. So if you want to be in the know and want to be the very first one to sign up for the next session of Soul Discovery Workshop online, feel free to head to my website at infinitesoulLove.com. Go to that homepage, click sign up for the wait list, and send your email, phone number, as well as your first and last name. And I will make sure you get that registration email as soon as the next course is ready to launch. In addition, you will get a discount code for the early bird sign up. So if you are interested, head over there now. Every single person on this planet has had the experience of meeting somebody and having that person either completely change your life or understanding that there is some form of really intense connection, even if you've only known each other for a few minutes or a few days. It can be a romantic connection, but it can also be completely platonic. It could be a family member. It could be any number of people that you meet throughout your journey. There are also the people that you may not realize are a soul connection until much, much later. Maybe you meet them and you have no idea who they are on a soul level. This was the case with Maggie. She had met somebody decades ago and had not recognized the connection that they had on a soul level. And it wasn't until after his death that she realized that not only did they have a connection, but that it is a much deeper role that they had for each other in this lifetime. This particular episode is going to address a lot of these aspects of our experience on this planet. And in the discussion, I will talk about how some of these experiences can unfold and how you can maybe discover why these people are in your life and what the soul contract is, or maybe what the past lives are that you have had with this particular soul. We also cover Maggie's soul purpose, which is to be a container. She holds space for people to be able to do their clearing and healing work, and how that affects her as a human and what she needs to do in order to take care of herself and her energy field in order to perform this particular soul purpose. And lastly, I do share a lot of personal anecdotes or stories from my experience while I'm in sessions with clients. Make sure to listen to the end of the discussion portion where I will demonstrate how your angels and guides and your intuition can speak to you through your own experiences. So give me an idea of what you would like to cover today.
I think I have a little bit of everything. So obviously soul purpose, life purpose, a little bit of like ancestral lineage. I've been trying to do some ancestral healing. So I have some questions about that and just some questions I've had about some past lives and a couple of people in my life, if we've had past lives together, that kind of thing.
Okay. And what is your relationship?
That is the crazy part. This is this is somebody that I only knew for a few days, like decades ago. And he recently, well, not recently, maybe a couple of years ago, passed away.
Okay. So you want to know what your connection was?
I don't know. Like, I know there was a connection. To make kind of a long story short, like I said, it was only somebody that I knew for a few days. And then it didn't end well because it was one of those where he had feelings for me and I didn't have feelings for him. And so it really triggered him. I know what triggered him, but anyways, it was a really intense 3 days. So you fast forward like 25 years later, and all of a sudden I woke up one day and I was like, oh my God, I got to find him. I think he's going to die. And I was like, I cannot find him. He literally dropped off the face of the earth. And it was even to a point where I felt like it was something like with his respiratory system or his lungs. I mean, I was even feeling that like heavily. Yeah. And then when COVID came along, I was like, I don't know if he's going to make it if he gets COVID. So lo and behold, I'm scrolling through social media one day and somebody announced that he passed away. From what I was feeling about how he was going to pass away, it was pretty much how he passed away. I think it was probably like a solid 2 years that I was in mourning. So when I found out that he passed away, I felt like somebody hit me in the head with a hammer. I know there had to have been some trauma from a past life that I was carrying over. So I want to know, what is the origins of our soul story? How do we know each other? And then also, because of his death, I feel like it was like my spiritual awakening, because there's like no rhyme or reason why I should have been like that. I mean, the grief was so overwhelming. And of course, I thought I was crazy because I'm like, oh my God, like I only knew him like a few days, but I actually feel like a part of me died.
Well, and the thing is that especially in sessions like this, it's going to unlock a lot of emotion that is within you that may still need to be released. This is completely par for the course for these kinds of sessions. So no worries at all. Just let it come, let it purge out of your system. And we can certainly take a look at your soul connection. And you're not crazy. This is something that happens often where you have connections with people that you don't understand why you have these connections, those types of things. It happens all the time. I see it all the time. Okay. And it does have to do with past life situations. It has to do with soul contracts and what you've decided to come here to do together. Even if you meet somebody for a day, it doesn't matter. That person can activate something within you that can change the course of the rest of your life. The amount of time that you spend with somebody has almost no relevance to the impact that they can have on your life.
Yeah.
I feel like you're going to get a lot of answers that you've been looking for in that respect. Okay.
Thank you.
How rapid was your spiritual awakening after his death?
Oh, immediately.
Okay.
I have always been spiritual, but I had a bad experience. And so for a long time, almost 20 years, I just became Catholic and I had a good experience with that. I mean, I don't believe everything the Catholic Church has to say, but I had a very loving and caring experience. So I don't regret that. But as soon as he passed away, like I was like, I want to know about past lives, about soul contracts. I mean, I just immediately was just like delving into everything. And it was like I was reintroduced to it again.
Okay, great. So what other things did you want to cover?
Like I said, I've been doing like ancestral lineage healing. And so I just had some questions like, am I actually the one in my family that was chosen to do this healing? And have I healed any of my ancestral lineages? And I love that you do this too. Like if you see if there's any curses that have been put on the family.
Absolutely.
I think that's it for now.
All right, perfect. First, I'm hearing the word stability. So you have a lot of stability in your root chakra. That has to do with your sense of home, your feelings of safety and security, that feeling of how you are rooted and grounded in your life at this time. I'm not seeing any blockages in the root chakra as it pertains to past lives. I am seeing a little bit of a foundation shake. A lot of this that you're going through right now is shaking your foundation, but it's not crackling it. It's not removing it entirely. It's just shifting and changing. Your sacral chakra, everything has been fully activated since you had your spiritual awakening. It's like it had been dormant for many, many, many years, and now it is waking up again. And that has to do with your creativity, your sexual energy, your divine feminine. And all of these things are cultivating a new version of yourself. What's interesting, though, is I'm seeing this dark shadow that's running behind your chakra system. So it's not attached to any of the chakras, but it's like this, like a charcoal stripe that's going through the chakra system. So we're going to ask the guides like what that's all about. This does have to do with your connection.
Okay.
What they're saying is that you have this energy that is moving forward. You have this energy that is awakening within you in your chakra system. And the charcoal stripe behind your chakra system is representative of him and his energy and the fact that it's not there. It's almost as if you feel like you cannot move forward without him. There definitely is some past life thing here that is keeping you kind of stuck. What his job was in this lifetime was to activate you. And that has been done, and he's done that. But this past life thing is what's keeping you kind of stuck where you are. We're going to take a look at that. We're going to try to clear that out so you can move forward. Your feelings of self-worth and confidence are sort of shaken as well. And that has to do with not knowing who you are at this time and trying to step into this new version of yourself and not really understanding what that is. The light you have shining through your solar plexus chakra is bright. It's really beautiful, but you're dimming that light yourself. Like it's a self-imposed dimming, if you will, because you're not entirely certain where you're going yet. And that's okay. That's sort of normal in this particular phase.
Yeah, I always say I'm in my 50s and I said I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah. All right. So then let's move that energy into your heart chakra. I'm seeing his arms around your heart. And when he left, those arms were gone. Mm. And it's almost as if throughout your entire life, even when you were a child, this energy of him was there with you. This energy of him holding your heart and keeping it safe and protected was there. And now that he's gone, it feels like that protection and that safety is gone. And now it's like your heart is raw and is there not knowing how to function on its own. Crown chakra is still pretty closed, and that's okay. They're saying that that doesn't have anything to do with a past life. It just has to do with where you are now and you're processing all the things you're processing, and it'll open when it's ready.
Okay.
And then let's move that energy down into your third eye. So you're a natural medium.
Really?
That's why you were able to see that he was going to die.
Yeah, I was wondering why. I'm like, why all of a sudden after all these years, oh, he's going to die and this is what's wrong with him. And it was just, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So you're tapped into your gifts. It's about honing them and working with them to make sure that you know and understand how they're working. That's why your crown chakra is closed, because they don't want any more information to come in until you really truly understand your gifts and start to work with them in a way that makes sense for you. Your crown chakra will eventually open up once you've gotten to the place where you have honed your skills in your sight. Let's move that energy down into your throat chakra. The first words I heard, I don't want to have anything to do with you.
What does that mean?
It feels like that is also a representative of anger. And this does have to do with a past life because I'm seeing it as coming through like dark blue. We'll take a look at where that is coming from. So like words of anger coming through your throat chakra. I want to thank Akula, my Akashic guide. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon for being here as well and allowing us access to the records today. Today, we are opening up the Akashic Records. Okay, great. Thank you. We're going to dive into the connection that you have, and then we're going to go into soul purpose, and then we're going to go into ancestral. Okay. What is their connection together, please? All right. So how many lifetimes have they had together? They have had hundreds of lifetimes together. Okay.
Jeez. No wonder I'm burnt out.
This particular lifetime that you are in now is a response to the very last lifetime you had together. So this emotional, visceral response you are having has to do with the last lifetime, the very last lifetime. So you have denied him in many lifetimes.
Yeah, I believe that because yeah, he was very triggered that. And I didn't even do it in a mean way. I was really young. You know, he was older than me. I just kind of looked at him like a father figure, and he was like so triggered. And I kept going, why is he triggered over little old me? Like, what did I do? So I could see that he was rejected. I could totally see that.
Yeah. Angels, can you give us an idea of what their connection is together, like what their soul connection is? They have had incredibly profound experiences together over the course of the many lifetimes they've had. They are not, in fact, twin souls, but they are something akin to that, where they have been orbiting each other's energy fields for quite some time. They do not have karma per se together to work through. Rather, they have been working together for these many lifetimes to help each other on this journey. If you want to call it an ascension partner, that would be closer to the description that they are. They are, in fact, connected on various levels on an energetic basis because of the many lifetimes that they've had together. The lifetime that you're going to look at, which is the lifetime just before this one, is not something that she needs to overcome in this lifetime. It is a continuation of the same story that needed to be brought out in this lifetime. All right, so then let's take a look at that lifetime, please. I am seeing you're about 16. You have dark hair and you have braids in your hair. He's about the same age that you are. And I'm seeing him almost chase after you. You're wearing this dress that has straps over your shoulders, but then you're wearing like this white shirt underneath it. And it has puffy sleeves. The sleeves come down to about your elbows. And he's trying to grab onto the back of your dress. And he's asking you to come back with him. You're saying to him, no, I cannot. Daddy doesn't approve. He's not wanting us to be together. And so I have to leave you. And he's begging you to come back, that he's certain that he can win your father over. But you tell him that there's no way that your dad is going to change his mind. You did have feelings for him in this lifetime. The feelings that you had for each other were mutual, but there was still a block there. So I'm seeing you go into the house and you're saying to your father that you had just ended things with him. And your father is saying, good, he's glad that you did. It's for your own good. Not only are you too young at this moment to be so serious about another guy, that he's not the sort of guy that he would want his daughter to date. And I'm seeing it had to do with money, like he didn't come from money, so he was considered less than. You're sitting in your room, you're taking out your braids. You're not sad per se, but you're confused. You're wondering if it's really the right decision. You loved your father and you trusted him implicitly. And you trusted that the decision that he was making for you was a good one because you looked at him from the standpoint of, somebody who's been on this earth a lot longer than you have and he knows better. And so you trusted him. But there was a part of you in this moment as you're taking out your braids that you are questioning whether or not your dad really knew better. Because there was something in your intuition that was saying that he was wrong and that this person that you wanted to be with was in fact the right person for you. I'm seeing that over the course of the next several days and weeks, he continued to try giving you flowers, showing up at your doorstep, showing up at school. You went to different schools, and each time you were turning your back on him, telling him to go away, telling him to not come back. And he knows that you feel what he feels, and he's trying to activate that within you. We're fast forwarding now. You're about 19 at this time. I'm having a hard time seeing where he is, though. Hold on, let me see if I can get we don't know where he is because you don't know where he is. He's disappeared at this point. He's no longer there. You're moving forward, and it's your wedding year, so to speak. You're engaged. You're about to get all the preparations ready to get married. The man you are marrying is somebody who is very kind, somebody who your father approves of. In fact, your father and he are quite chummy together. They're quite good friends. And it feels good for you. You feel really good that this is somebody that your father likes and approves of, and that you like him too. He's very nice. But you can't help but think about the connection that you had with this boy. And the connection you had with him was so visceral. It was on a soul level, this connection. And you thought about him often. He was there when you got married. He kept out of sight. He didn't actually show up at your wedding, but I'm seeing him outside of a church, and I'm seeing him peek his head in the church. He's not actually attending, but he's sort of spying on you a bit. The interesting thing is that you felt his presence. And that was really weird for you. Why were you thinking of him, and why did you feel his presence when you were getting married to the man that you loved? And how you felt his presence was because there was a feeling that you got only when you were with him. All right. So then we're fast forwarding more. You're a bit older now. You've had a couple of children. You're moving forward in your life. I'm hearing things are getting more convenient. Things are getting easier for you. I'm getting this is almost like post-war. So like we're moving into like the 50s, and you're just in your house. You're doing some chores and you think of this man again. It's like his energy, whenever he was connected to you, you felt that energy. Whenever he was able to meet you in the quiet spaces, he would connect to you and he would feel your energy and you would feel his. Connecting on a soul level like that is a very visceral experience in the body. You feel it and you sense it.
Yeah.
And he would connect to you like that on a regular basis. It's just you were not necessarily privy to it if you were not in those moments of quiet or silence, in those moments of checking in. And while you didn't meditate in this particular lifetime, that moment in time when you're doing chores or doing things around the house and where things are quiet, that's when you would connect to him. And you had regrets. Not that you married your husband, because you did still love your husband very deeply. He was a very good man. But you had regrets that you didn't keep in contact with him. You wished that you had sort of kept tabs on him, see what happened to him. You hoped that he was married and happy. You hoped that he was having a good life. All right, Angel. So what was the purpose of that lifetime that they had together? Like, what was the whole purpose? As we were saying, the trajectory of that lifetime is very similar to the lifetime she's in now. And the trajectory was one of activating that spiritual connection between the two of them, helping them both to understand what it means to be energetically connected to somebody. Now, had they gotten together in that previous lifetime, it would have been a volatile relationship. And the reason why is because if they were constantly connecting to each other in each other's energy, they would be triggering each other in a way that would send them in a downward spiral of their own wounding. For them to be able to be apart and yet still feel each other achieved what they wanted it to achieve in creating this awareness of that energetic connection without having their energy have to go through any further trauma that they had been through in the past. Okay. So you're saying that in other lifetimes they've been together and bad things that happened or trauma that happened that sort of set them back? Correct. Okay. It's because they were not ready for that energetic connection yet. Okay. Because when you connect with somebody energetically, it's an exchange of energy. And if one person is in really, really low energies, you're going to feel that and vice versa. And it's going to compound each other. And if you don't know how to handle those energies, then it's going to make everything worse. So then in this lifetime, the goal was never for you to be together in any way. That is why the age difference was vast, is because it was meant to be an awakening for you. And then he's going to incarnate again in a particular place and time that allows him to have his awakening. So angels, can you give us an idea as to why this grief is so strong for her though? Because everything that we've seen in that previous lifetime and what you're explaining to us about their contracts in this lifetime, it all lines up and it's all there to help her with her awakening. What is the reason for the grief? The reason for the grief that she is feeling has to do with her own connection to herself, to her heart, and to her soul. Oftentimes when we wake up to who we are as souls, it creates a grief in not understanding who we have been for most of our lives. This is grief having to do with her as well as him. This grief has to do with the loss of something, the potential of something with him in terms of that connection. Now, that doesn't mean that there is any regret in terms of there being a romantic connection in any way, but there is grief in not realizing who he was before he died, not realizing who he was as a soul. And now that she remembers, and even if she doesn't remember in the physical, her soul remembers now who he has been to her over the hundreds of lifetimes they've been together. And that grief is for his passing, for them not being able to connect in this lifetime, and for the awakening and opening of her own heart. I'm going to pause right there. Does that make sense to you in terms of why that grief is coming in?
Yeah, totally. It's funny too when you were talking about the life where the father was like, oh, he's not good for you or whatever. He didn't have money or whatever the situation was. It's so funny because when he got all upset with me because I didn't have those feelings for him. It was weird because usually when somebody comes at me, like I said, I'm a little hot headed and I would like cuss and I would cuss and swear and start breaking dishes. Like I get all crazy. But for some reason, I was completely calm and I felt like I was a daughter who had disappointed her father. Like I did something to shame the family and like he disowned me. That's that feeling that I got. And then you're talking about this life. And it was like the opposite. He was the guy that the girl could have ran off, that he was from the wrong end of town or something. But that's exactly what I felt like. I felt like I had disappointed my father. That's what it felt like I'd shamed the family.
Yeah. And that was some energy that you were pulling in from that previous lifetime, certainly. That feeling of, well, if I were to have gone with him, I would have shamed my dad, or I would have, the relationship with my dad would have changed.
Yeah.
Even though in that previous lifetime, you had much stronger romantic feelings for him than you did in this lifetime. It's a connection that is very orchestrated in each one of your lifetimes. Like I'm seeing that the soul contracts between the two of you are not complete for this lifetime. And that is because things are still being worked on the other side. Have you felt him energetically since he's passed?
Oh, yeah. When he first passed away, I was actually, I mean, my husband knows the whole story now, but at the beginning, he just knew bits and pieces. But I was talking to my husband about it, and all of a sudden, like 6 lights in our dining room just started flickering on and off, on and off. And my husband was like, what is going on? These are new lights. They shouldn't be flickering. And then I was thinking to myself, oh, I wonder if that's him. And just weird stuff. And then I can't remember if I said this earlier, but I had a dream. I think it was a dream. And it looked like I was in a church and I was like mourning the loss of him. And he was standing in front of me and I was knelt down like in the pew. And he was like, stop mourning me. I'm okay. He goes, you have a husband now. But I don't know why. I just remember those words. You have a husband now. And oh yeah, there's constant signs all the time, and they come and go. Like in the beginning it was like all the time, and now it's from time to time I still get signs from him. Yeah.
And that's part of his job with you right now, is to help you through your awakening and to show you those signs and to show you that he is still present, that he is still around. Okay.
No, that's good. So he is still around helping me even from the other side.
Yeah, absolutely he is. And the wedding dream that you had, I'm getting that was the wedding that we were looking at in this past life. Like, even though you were marrying this guy that you really did love, you were still mourning the fact that you couldn't be with him.
Oh, so that's why he was saying you have a husband now.
Now, right, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so let me see if there's anything else we need to know about him. They're saying yes. Okay. Are there any other lifetimes we need to look at? No, but there is just a message that we have. Okay. He is a catalyst for your spiritual awakening, and you will be doing the same for him in the next lifetime. You had decided to do this first because you were going to be the one that was the most receptive, as your spiritual gifts are more honed in this lifetime than his was. The exit point that he took in this lifetime was one that he had already predetermined. He knew he was going to die at that time and at that place. That was something that was already written in his soul contract. This is not something that needs to be mourned. This is something that needs to be rejoiced in terms of him being able to incarnate into a new body at a certain time and be able to carry with him the knowledge that he has gained while he has been helping you with your spiritual awakening. This is helping him just as much as it's helping you. He's seeing what works and what doesn't in terms of what is helping you to wake up and what isn't. When you cross over, you both are going to have the conversation of what was working and what didn't. And so then when you reincarnate again, then you're going to be helping him with his spiritual awakening, even though you will be fully formed in your spiritual gifts upon birth in the next lifetime. He will still be lagging behind. So there will be certain touch points that you will decide upon after you cross over in this lifetime where your souls will decide what you will do and what the plan is. And that plan isn't necessarily in place at this time. So just know that this is part of the plan. Know that the connections that he is making with you are there to help you. They're there to show you, to give you that proof. The reason why you were able to see his death is because that was the proof. It was like the veil had opened ever so slightly for you to see into his records, into what he had decided. And he showed you that. He showed you what was going to happen so you could access your spiritual gifts, so you could actually see them very, very clearly. And when you saw it that clearly, that was further proof that you needed to move forward out of the distortions that you had been in regards to who you were and what your gifts are.
When I was feeling his death and I just thought of him out of nowhere, was it me that thought about him out of nowhere, or was I picking up on his energy? He was thinking about me and I picked up on that, or vice versa. I'm not sure how that works.
It kind of like what they were just saying. It's like he opened the veil. It's like he opened the door for you to see that. They're saying it was almost like an energetic knock on the door. He opened that information for you to see.
Okay.
And you were open enough at that moment to see it.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. So I wasn't crazy.
Not at all. No.
I wasn't having a midlife crisis like some people.
No, not at all. No. No, I mean, the thing is that we all wake up in different ways, right? Mm-hmm. And so
yeah.
And it takes increments as well. So like you said, you were really tapped in when you were younger, but then it got shut down. And then it came back again. And that is by design. It is a remembrance. Yeah. Most children between the ages of 0 and 7 still are really connected to the other side.
Yeah.
And they still have the ability to connect to their intuition and that kind of thing. But most parents just explain it away. They just say, oh, that's nothing. Or, oh, that's an imaginary friend, or that's this, or that's that. Eventually, as they get older, it kind of gets drummed out of them that this intuition thing exists.
Yeah.
You have a profound gift in what you do. It's just about you waking up to it and now starting to hone that skill. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So then let's take a look at your soul purpose. Let's see what we need to see there. How many lifetimes do we need to look at? 1. So we're looking at a more ancient lifetime. You have really, really long black hair, like waist length black hair, and it's big and bushy. You have really striking blue eyes, and you have some sort of headpiece on. It looks like a giant bird, maybe carved out of wood that is like horizontal on your head. Angels, can you tell us where this is? Yes. Okay. They're saying Aztec.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting because it is connected to all of the elements. I'm seeing you connecting to the ocean, connecting to the forest, the trees. I'm seeing you kneel by the ocean and you're putting your hands just at the edge of the water. And I'm hearing that you can feel the grief of earth. You can feel the sadness of earth. And I'm seeing you move your hands. So you're taking one hand and putting it to your heart and then putting it back down on the sand. You're giving earth your love. You stand up and then go back into the forest. This was a ritual you did every morning. You were trying to heal the earth. Oh, and I'm seeing that each member of your tribe did the same thing, but in different places. So every morning, this was a ritual that your entire village did, that like everyone went to a certain place around the area and started healing the earth from where you were.
Ooh, that sounds like something I would do. I kind of had that experience when I went to Ireland. When I went there, I felt like there was so much trauma on that island and I physically got ill. Everybody else with me, nobody got sick. It was the middle of summer and I got like flu-like symptoms. I was shaking at the fever. As soon as we left and went to some other parts of Europe, I was fine. And then we went back again at the end of our trip. And sure enough, I got sick again. And I just felt like I was feeling the trauma from that island. It's still unhealed.
Yeah. And sometimes that energy that's moving through your body is something that can cause that. If you ever find yourself in a position like that again, try to put up your bubble of protection, try to protect your energy as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Your job is not to heal the earth necessarily. Mm-hmm. It is not to transmute the energy of what is going on in the earth grids. That just was a ritual that you did in this past life. The reason why they were showing us that is because you are very sensitive to it. That's why they were saying like you could feel the grief coming from Earth. When you are in that space of being able to feel that, just know that it is not your job to fix it. There are other grid workers on this planet. There are millions of them that is their job, where they heal the Earth grids on the planet. For you, your energy is almost like a receptacle for other energies. You hold and create a container for other energies. Angels, can you tell us what that means, please? Because I don't quite understand what exactly you mean by that. Okay, they're going to show us more of that lifetime. Okay, so they're showing me like you building a fire and you're in a hut type situation and there's people around and you're helping them to clear the energies of their own experience. It's like you create this space and container and this safe place for people to be able to do their own healing and their own clearing. You're not actually doing the clearing for them.
Okay.
Your mediumship gifts are very strong because you are able to take a look at somebody and know what they need. So just like you had predicted the fact that he had lung issues or that it was going to be lung issues, you can look at anyone and be able to see what it is they need to heal, what it is they need to improve on in terms of their energy, what they need to clear, what they're holding on to. Okay, that makes sense, because that's why when you were putting your hands in the earth, you were able to feel the grief and the sadness that earth needed to heal in that particular place. So it's like you can feel what other people need to work on. It's just not your job to heal it. It's their job to heal it. It's your job to communicate to them what it is they need to heal.
Yeah, I think I have a problem with that. Just like, because I feel like, well, especially society, they expect you to solve everybody's problems, and if you don't care, you're part of the problem. And I'm just like, I can't take on all these energies. Like, everybody's responsible for themselves. I can't heal everybody. I'm gonna be overwhelmed. Society's like, oh, you have to help everybody and you have to care about everything. It's like, I can't. There's so many things going on in the world. It's like I'll physically get sick.
What feels the most aligned for you? What feels like something that is lighting you up?
Written since I was a child. I love writing. I am totally fascinated with ancestral healing and then also the transition, comforting people, and like the afterlife that I'm fascinated with. Actually, all three of those things I'm passionate about.
I want to add a couple of more things to your tool belt that you can start to hone. Again, mediumship is something that you can hone as well. Working in the Akashic Records in order to help people with ancestral healing is something that you can also do.
Okay.
And then another thing would be something that I have experienced, which is called family constellation therapy.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
It's not therapy per se. It is more, I would say it's more connected to your intuition and connecting to the ancestral line through intuition and through connecting to the energies of it. These are also things that you can connect to, and you're going to be able to come up with something that is uniquely yours that you will do as a profession to help people through these types of transitions. You are absolutely on the right track. You are absolutely in the space that you need to be in.
That's good to hear. I never thought I was on track my whole life, so that's good to hear.
Yeah, you definitely are. They're saying they want you to focus more on your mediumship, though. They want you to hone that a little bit more.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. I want to connect into the soul purpose one more time, just so we can get some clarification.
Okay.
On a little bit more on the soul purpose. So obviously she's the container. She's holding the space for people to do the healing. Everything that she is doing right now is seemingly in alignment with that. Correct. Okay, so is there anything else that has to do with her soul purpose that she needs to know at this time? Yes. Okay. So are you referring to her taking care of her own body, or are you talking about her taking care of others in that way? Her taking care of her own body. Okay. They're just showing me food, nourishing your physical body, making sure your physical body is in tip-top shape for whatever it needs.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very conscious of what I eat and how I take care of myself. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't take care of yourself the way that society tells us to take care of ourselves. Take care of yourself the way your intuition is telling you to take care of yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
So for example, I follow this one medium on TikTok, and she apparently just got roasted by a bunch of spiritual people saying that, like, I can't believe you're not vegan. I can't believe you don't eat, I can't believe you eat meat. And like people were like yelling at her for this. And she had a really beautiful response. And I feel the same way. It's like, you can't say somebody's evil for eating meat or for not being vegan, because depending on what each body needs, they have to follow their own intuition.
Yeah.
If your intuition is telling you to be vegan, that's beautiful. But if your intuition is telling you that you need to eat meat because you need the nutrients, then you need to eat meat.
Yeah.
I've gone through that back and forth my whole life, because like I've never really enjoyed eating meat, but there have been times when my body's like, okay, you're dangerously low on iron. You need to eat meat. Like you have to.
Yeah.
Things like that. So it's like, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Even if on a spiritual level, it's like, oh, I need to take care of my body this way. Or on a physical level, listen to your body, listen to yourself.
Yeah, as I get older, I've learned, because I went through a million fads too. And for a long time, you know, I was vegetarian because, of course, you're going to get attacked. Oh, you eat meat, you're a horrible person. And I felt like I needed meat, and I started eating it, and I felt 100% better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The one thing that they're saying, though, is that what you can do when you're eating meat or when you're ingesting anything that has potential energy already attached to it is just clear the energy. Just clear the energy of it.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I actually do that. Before I eat, I'm like, thank you for giving me your life and giving me the nutrients that I need. I actually pray before I eat it, before the animal is even slaughtered. So I do actually do.
Beautiful. There are certain things that are rituals in Catholicism or rituals in other religions where there are reasons and roots for the reason why they do those things, right? So the reason why Catholics might pray before every meal, that's exactly what the original intention was to be, is to thank the animal, thank the food for being there, and clear the energy of the food so it nourishes. We've sort of lost sight of the reason why we pray over food.
Yeah.
And so now we need to come back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So they're saying that we're going to go into ancestral line. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to imagine that you are standing in a field of grass and flowers, and surrounding you is a circle of trees. And I would like you to imagine that that circle of trees is offering you up some divine light protection. And in front of you, there is a door. And I would like you to open the door. And right before you, you'll see a staircase that is bright white and pearlescent. And I would like you to walk up this staircase one stair at a time. And as you reach the top, you see a guardian. And this is your Akashic guide. This is your guardian for your sacred space where your Akashic records are held. And I would like you to enter this sacred space. And this space can look any way you choose. You can decorate it in your mind's eye. And I would like you to notice that in the center of the space, there's a pedestal with a book. And this is the representation of your Akashic records, and everyone you've ever had any soul contracts or vows or any ancestral line connections are all written in this book. To your left, I want you to notice that there is a very large space. And I would like you to approach that space and stand in the middle. And we're going to ask several questions of your Akashic guide. The first question is, do you have any ancestral line trauma, ancestral line curses, or anything that needs to be cleared in the ancestral line? Yes. I'm hearing on the paternal side. The maternal side is fine at the moment. There are some things that could be cleared in the maternal family line, but it's not something that is urgent, and it's not something that is really big. It's something that technically could just clear on its own. What is on the paternal side is quite large in terms of energy. And you were asking if you were put here and incarnated here in this space in order to help clear the ancestral line. And the answer is no.
Okay.
Because if you think about your job as a soul is to hold that container in that space for the healing to take place. So you are assisting in that healing. You are not doing the healing yourself.
Okay.
All right. So how many generations does this go back in her paternal ancestral line? This goes back 5 generations. All right. Let's take a look at what is going on here and what needs to be cleared. There's a mother wound here, fear of abandonment. Okay. So I'm seeing 5 generations ago, your ancestor on your father's side had a mother who died when he was very, very young, and he never recovered from it. He saw this as an ultimate betrayal. It came out in some really distorted ways where he did not trust mothers specifically. He also did not trust women. Oh, okay. There's something in there where his mother, before she died, said something to him like, I will always be with you. I will never leave you, that kind of thing. You know, the things that people say to comfort. And he took it literally and then looked at that as a betrayal when she did not stay.
She died young or tragically or something.
She did die young. So they're saying it was complications after childbirth with his younger sibling. It's like there were complications in the childbirth, but she didn't die in childbirth. She died almost a year later, but it was like because of the complications due to the childbirth. So it was like there was something that happened internally with her that just never went away. It just never got fixed. And so eventually she just succumbed to her injuries, so to speak, from the birth.
That's funny because when I was growing up, I couldn't even look at a pregnant person. I was petrified to get pregnant. I have one child. Well, he's grown now, but I was like, how am I going to look at myself for 9 months? I mean, when I went into labor, it was like really traumatic and hard. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, I was so scared that, you know, I had a high fever and I was heavily bleeding. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die. And even when he was born and they put him on my belly, there was no sound. He was all purple. And I thought, oh my God, it was just a really traumatic experience. And I've always had an issue with like horrible childbirths, even before I even had a child. So I'm wondering if that is running through my ancestral line, the fear of childbirth.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. So that's where it comes from. Can you see like what country of origin this was taking place?
Let me see if they'll tell me that. Hold on. I keep on hearing Germany. And but it's vague though. It's like super, super vague. Like I'm trying to see, typically what I usually get is I get cues of clothing, lodgings, like what the houses look like, that kind of stuff. Like I get those kinds of things. It's really hard for me to see anything in there. Like it's hard for me to see like how people were dressed or anything like that. It's a very sort of dim type of vision. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can ask the guides why this is the case.
Okay.
When you're tapping into an ancestral line, you're tapping into many generations ago through a family line. It is not necessarily the direct family line. So if you consider the fact that if you go back and trace back your father to his grandfather, to his great grandfather, to his great great grandfather, that is a direct linear connection to your ancestral line. When we do this type of ancestral clearing, it can reach thousands and thousands of people, because if you can imagine, this one person who was in fact living in Germany was able to give birth to two sons who then had their own ancestral line, who ended up going different places, who ended up having different experiences, and so on and so forth. One ancestral line can be many, many different families in many different countries and many different cultures.
Yeah.
What we want to instill upon you is that the country of origin, unless we give it to you, is not particularly important. But what is important is the ancestral line that is being connected through the bloodline, through the ancestral trauma, and being able to clear that from its origin point. So then there is more to this. So I want to sort of tap back into this vision to see like where else they need to go with this, because it's not just this feeling of betrayal of women, this feeling of abandonment, as well as the trauma of childbirth. There's something that got created within this particular little boy when he lost his mother, and how he grew up and what happened in that ancestral line. I'm seeing him grow up and sort of shunning women out of his life. So he did not get married at all in that life.
Okay.
But he used women all the time. I'm seeing he's going to a lot of prostitutes. He's going to a lot of women that he would charm into sleeping with him and then leaving. He never wanted to get emotionally attached.
Yeah, that's understandable. Actually, when I think about it, my dad actually lost his mother at a young age. My grandmother passed away before I was born, and my dad was young.
And that often happens when something is trying to be healed in an ancestral line. The same exact situation will happen. So then they can make different decisions.
Yeah.
And so just doing that helps to heal the ancestral line. So just the fact that he didn't blame his mother for leaving him, the fact that he was able to start healing that mother wound, he was actually, in fact, the one that was healing that ancestral line, not you.
Yeah.
Because what I'm seeing for you, like in this ancestral line trauma, there, like you don't even connect to this on a personal level. Like other than the childbirth, you're not really connecting to the mother wound. You're not connecting to any of those things. Like it is very rooted in the male versions of the ancestral line.
Yeah.
And that's why it wasn't yours to heal. It was your father's.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are there any particular ancestors that are around me? There's a couple of them that I feel that I've never met. And I'm just wondering if there's any like particular ones, like maternal, paternal.
What I would like you to do is I would like you to go back and take your awareness to that large space in your sacred space. And I would like you to imagine that there is a beautiful gateway on the far end of the room. And all you can see is a brilliant light coming through that gateway. And imagine your first ancestor that is helping you right now, the first one who wants to make an appearance. Imagine that ancestor is walking through that gateway. And I want you to make note of how they look, maybe how old they are. Do you recognize them?
No, because I think it's an older ancestor that there's no pictures of, but I see a woman, and I think it's the one that I think that's around me. She's got dark hair. She made me look like she's in her 30s. She has her hair up like in a bun, like not a bun, but you know how they did those real wide buns, kind of like in the Victorian days, maybe. And I definitely feel that she is from Ireland.
And can you ask her what she's there to assist you with?
I hear things like instead of like seeing, sometimes feeling, but I hear a lot of things. And I just heard love really loud. And it was funny too. When I was in Ireland, and in fact, it was the day I started getting sick. We were visiting Newgrange. It's a monument that I think is like, I want to say either 3,000 to 5,000 years old. And you can, like the winter solstice, like the sun goes in there and illuminates this room, and it's almost like a tomb. And we went in there and it was just really like so claustrophobic, but it was really neat. Like, you know, they showed you how like when the sun comes in and all that. And we were there and I was talking with my friend who's from there, and she's very intuitive too. And all of a sudden this, like, I don't know, it was some kind of red bird that flew down right below us, and she goes, "Oh, look, an ancestor." And I was like, "Oh," I go, "Is that my like great grandmother Nora?" That was her name, Nora. And she goes, "I think so." But it was just
that's so awesome. Oh, I love that.
It was really funny that this bird just came out of nowhere. It's like, when I was doing my genealogy, there's a couple of ancestors I kind of connected with. For some reason, I connect with her.
This particular ancestor is helping you with love. Is there anything else that she wants to say to you?
I just heard, "I'm here with you." And when I hear these things too, and I think it probably comes from that childhood trauma, being terrorized by the neighbor, is like when I hear these things, I'm like, am I making that up in my head?
No, you're not. Nope, not at all. And that's the thing, is that sometimes you just have to trust it. And that's where the proof can kind of come in, like the signs that you get and all of those things. Like the more proof you get, the more confidence you'll have. I want you to focus your attention back on that gateway.
Okay.
And I want you to see if there's another ancestor that wants to come forward.
I heard in my head Scandinavia.
Okay. So you have an ancestor from Scandinavia that is coming through?
Yeah, let me see. Okay, I just heard Norway.
Okay. And what is this ancestor trying to help you with?
What? Why did I just hear money? I don't know why I heard money. I'm not really focused on money, but I mean, I don't know. This looks like a really tall person, older man, and he's wearing, it looks like a white frock or something. This is what I'm seeing. It without even thinking, this is what's coming into my mind. Okay, why did I just got the name Leonard, which I don't even think is a Norwegian name. It could be. I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
It could be. Yeah. And sometimes when our ancestors show up, if the name is too hard for us to understand, they'll give us an equivalent.
Okay, I'll have to look up equivalent to Leonard in Norwegian.
What about money is he helping you with?
I just heard you can have it if you want it.
Lovely.
That's kind of funny. I wasn't expecting that.
Can you ask him what makes him the right ancestor to connect with regarding that?
I just felt and heard that he was connected to some kind of royal like he wasn't like a king or anything, but he was somebody higher up that I want to say maybe was knighted,
Okay.
something like that. So it was a well-to-do family. Not that, like I said, they were kings and queens or anything like that, but he was somebody higher up than the average person. I don't know why this is all coming out. I don't know where all this is coming from.
It's coming from your intuition, my dear. I mean, we're in the records together, so you're able to access this yourself.
That's funny. Yeah, it's just kind of flowing out.
Exactly.
So yeah, he's kind of like, I just heard something like financial advisor.
Amazing. Amazing. So you can connect with him when you are wanting to manifest more opportunities and money and that sort of thing. Ask him for his assistance and ask him to be able to guide you in that way.
I definitely will.
My only caveat I say is if you have a name for an ancestor that you're working with, so he gave you Leonard, if you ask him to help you, make sure you say, I am connecting to my ancestor from Norway called Leonard.
Okay.
Who is helping me with money. I am asking you to assist me in X, Y, and Z. The difference is you don't want to just call on any Leonard. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to be like,
No,
hey, Leonard, like help me with this. And Leonard, a million Leonards are going to be like, oh, what do you want? You know, like you have to be very specific about the energy that you're in and the energy that you're asking to help you. So just make sure you're doing that.
What's funny about that is I did have an ancestor. Well, like he was great grandfather, and his name was Leonard, and he was a complete abusive jerk. He beat the crap out of my great grandmother, and she had polio and everything. I mean, he was a complete jerk. So I do not want to call on him.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. You have to be very specific. And the most specific thing is actually connecting to that energy because you know what that energy feels like now because you've connected to him.
Yeah.
When you're asking him for assistance, you connect to his energy, you state his name and you know where he's from and the fact that he's your ancestor. And that's why guardian angels give us names. And that's why guardian angels have the term guardian angels, because it just helps us to connect to who our spirit team is. And you can always come back to this recording and you can do this little meditation again and you can connect in to see if there's any other ancestors that want to stop in, because our ancestors stop in when we need them. So if there's something particular that you're working on in your particular portion of your lifetime, there will be different guides, different ancestors that will come in and help us.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. They do want to address what you were saying about your mom and your mom's side of the family, where you might think that that is ancestral and that needs to be addressed. It's not. The things that happen to your grandmother and to that side of the family have to do with soul contracts and have to do with karma in previous lifetimes having to do with them. It has nothing to do with you or the ancestral line.
Yeah, I don't feel connected with that at all. Like I was not going to repeat that pattern. I don't attract those kind of men. And I know I called him a jerk and everything, but I'm sure, like you said, it was a soul contract. So I don't want to judge his soul, but when he was in physical form, he was a jerk.
Sure, of course. Yeah. I mean, we can acknowledge that. We can acknowledge when people's behavior isn't great, understanding that that is their journey. And that is probably, I would say, 8 times out of 10 part of their soul contract. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they're just acting because that's what they're doing. But most of the time it is because of a soul contract. And so we can have compassion for them, but we can also recognize that their behavior is really crappy.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to take a look at any vows, curses, or soul contracts that you need to clear from your energy field or from the ancestral line. There are 2 vows that we need to clear.
Okay.
2 soul contracts, and there are no curses on the ancestral line. There are no curses on you.
That's good to hear.
They're saying it's part of the reason that there aren't any curses is just the type of soul that you are, because you hold the space for people to heal.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's impossible for you to have a curse attached to you. There's like an extra added level of protection that you have in your energy field because of that. And I have seen that before where certain souls can be like energetic Teflon.
Yeah. Okay.
Ancestral line curses have a tendency to be very specific to the ancestral line. If somebody is cursed themselves, like somebody has put a curse on that one person, the chances of it being handed down in the ancestral line is not likely. What can be handed down, though, is the behavior. So the behavior can be handed down.
Okay.
Let's take a look at those soul contracts that we need to clear. So let's take a look at the first vow, please. So the first vow is the marriage vow from the previous lifetime that we just looked at today. With the last lifetime that we looked at where you were marrying the guy that your dad approved of, that marriage vow needs to be cleared.
Okay.
I would like you to imagine that you are approaching the book that is a representation of your Akashic Records. And we can do this as a sort of blanket statement of I rescind any and all marriage vows that I have taken in previous lifetimes. And if you can just imagine yourself or feel yourself sign the Akashic Records, releasing you from any marriage vows you have taken in previous lifetimes.
Okay.
Beautiful. So sometimes these marriage vows, it's not like it's a huge energy that needs to be cleared, but sometimes what it does is it keeps us tied to certain people that we may not necessarily need to be tied to.
Okay.
All right. So what is the other vow that we need to clear? This is a vow that you made with your mom. You made a vow to always take care of her.
Yes, she's definitely like an unstable 13-year-old. We just recently had an episode where she got herself into some trouble. And when I was growing up, she always used to say, you have to remember, I'm the mother in this lifetime and you're the daughter. You seem to forget that. So I'm thinking I was like, her mother in another life, but she still acts like a child. And I'm constantly babysitting and it's just getting exhausting. Yes.
So the image they were showing me is like, you holding that container. So the container that you're holding this giant container for her and she's inside the container, like thrashing around, making it very, very hard for you to hold on to that container. Like that was the image they gave me. It's like you're trying to hold this beautiful space for her to heal and she's just fighting you every step of the way.
Oh yeah, definitely. She's definitely hard-headed and stuck in her ways. And we constantly fight. It's like a love-hate relationship that I'm constantly lecturing her like I'm the mother. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. What would it feel like to just allow her to be who she is?
I would like to do that, but she's constantly getting into hot water and she drags me into it. And so there's always that fear, like if I don't keep an eye on her, she's going to do something to screw up my life, her life. There's that fear.
First, we're going to remove this vow, approach the book and write in the book, I release any and all vows that I have made with my mother. And you can state her full name. I release any and all vows I have taken with my mother. And you can write her name down. Any vows that I have to take care of her. And any vows that I have to hold the space for her when she is in resistance. You may have to remove this vow multiple times only because each time you get in a situation with her, you might be making an unconscious vow to help her. Check in with yourself. So let's say mom calls, let's say there's something happening. You check in with yourself and you ask your heart and your intuition, is it in my highest good and is it in her highest good for me to step in and help her right now? And you might get a yes, you might get a no. If you get a no, then you need to take a step back regardless of what happens because this is part of her growth as well. It's not a problem. Let's take that last soul contract, please. Is it current life? It is. Yeah. They're saying that it's somebody that you no longer have contact with. I'm seeing a woman who is older, short, not particularly healthy. Could be somebody that you worked with or maybe a boss of some sort, somebody that you were connected with for a while who was teaching you a lesson. I'm getting this person was not very nice to you.
I've had a lot of those. Do I have to know who it is right now?
Not at all. We can actually just clear the soul contract and be done with it. And they'll probably pop into your head at some point. I'm going to ask for that person and you to sign your Akashic Records, releasing you both from the soul contract that you created. She's saying that she gave you the experience that you needed to grow. I'm hearing she was a minor character. Like she wasn't a major character in your life, but there was something about your interactions and how she pushed you that actually helped you on your path. The reason why this soul contract needs to be cleared, though, is because you were supposed to help her with something and she was not having it. She did not receive any of your suggestions, help, anything. So we need to release this soul contract so you don't have to worry about incarnating with her again, just to fulfill your side.
Okay.
So just imagine that you're signing the book, releasing you both from that soul contract.
Okay. I'm sorry, it was a coworker, you said?
You know what? They're showing me. Okay, so there was a guy who was a professor of mine in school. And he said something to me that was so cruel that I held on to it for decades. Decades. And what he said to me was, because I went to the University of Michigan, and he's like, you must have gotten in here by the skin of your teeth. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, you certainly should not be writing anything. You are definitely not a writer. And I got into the U of M through the art school because I was a designer. And that stuck with me. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm not a writer. And I carried that with me for most of my adult life. just telling people I suck at writing. And it was because of this one man who said that to me. I don't even remember what this man's name was. I don't remember what he looks like. I remember nothing about him. The only thing that I remember is that statement that he made. They're showing me that because they're like, it's somebody like that. It's somebody that you almost wouldn't remember, but somebody who maybe said something to you or gave you an experience that really affected you in your life.
I think I know who you're talking about, but the person doesn't have gray hair. They're kind of short. And it was almost exactly what you just told me. Not the book that I just wrote, but I wrote a book way back in the day. And I was like, I'm going to be the first person to write about past lives. And I kept journals and dream journals and, you know, all this stuff. And I wrote a book about it. And then I had hired an editor who was also a writer themselves, who I actually looked up to when I was growing up. And this person just slammed me, I guess you would say. It was like, well, you didn't say this and that. Where's your proof? Why do you believe psychics like this? And it really, it didn't just like crush my creativity. It crushed my spirituality. That's one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, I'm going to become a devout Catholic, because this person doesn't believe me. This is somebody I looked up to. Maybe this is a sign from the universe that my past lives were a bunch of BS. And I'm still a little bitter inside, because it wasn't so much that, oh, she didn't believe me about my past lives. It was more like she talked down to me like I was 5 years old. Right. And she just really just talked to me like I was a nobody. Even to this day with my new book, I was afraid to give it to an editor because I was so traumatized over like how she talked to me and she attacked me personally. And my husband keeps telling me, would you get over it?
And the guides are actually putting their finger on their nose, like, yes, on the nose, that like that is exactly the person we're talking about.
Okay. Yeah. That's funny that came up. Yeah. So it did have a big effect on me creatively and spiritually, but I take it as a good experience because I learned from that experience to not look for validation outside of myself.
Exactly.
I just feel like she saw parts of herself in me that aren't healed yet. And so instead of lashing out at herself, she lashed out at me.
All right. So we are going to close the Akashic Records. Thank you to Akula, my Akashic guide. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for guiding us through the records. Thank you to Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon. Thank you. The records are closed. The records are closed. The records are closed. Thank you. All right. How do you feel?
So I feel a lot better. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you do choose to book another session, I would recommend that we work on your mother and kind of talking about what your connection is there. And then also starting to unravel the fear of coming into your spiritual gifts, because it sounds like you've had a couple of different experiences with people naysaying and telling you shouldn't do that. That will probably open up a lot more for your spiritual journey if you're able to address why those situations happened and what they were there to teach you, and then being able to let go of them. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Take care. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
I would like to extend a ton of gratitude to Maggie for allowing me to record her session for the podcast. You may have had this experience where you meet somebody and everything just clicks. Everything just falls into place and you are instant best friends, or you just instantly fall in love, that almost love at first sight. And that is something that can be connected to your soul's path, to the contracts that you've created for this lifetime. It could also mean that this person that you have met could be in your soul family. It could mean that in this particular lifetime, you have chosen to accomplish a certain number of things in order to help each other on your journeys. Those particular moments are incredible when they happen, because you are able to really connect on a heart level and on a soul level without even realizing maybe that you're doing that. But you know how that feels. You know how that heart space locks in and you are in step with each other and you are able to cultivate that relationship with ease. I've had this experience many times, and I'm sure you have too, whether it be with friends or family members or romantic interests. This happens often to many of us. The situation that happened with Maggie was slightly different because she didn't recognize that soul connection that they had together in the beginning of their first meeting. It's hard to say whether or not the other person felt that connection at the time, but we can basically connect to the information that we received, not only from Maggie, but also in the records, that I imagine he did feel that connection to her. When this happens and one person recognizes the connection and the other person does not, there's always a reason for it. In this particular case, it was in order for Maggie to be able to finally wake up to the energetic nudgings, if you will, that the universe had been giving her throughout the course of her lifetime regarding her spiritual gifts and her spiritual awakening. And there are times when we will sign up for these experiences with these people that unlock that energy for us at exactly the right time. You might ask, why didn't she connect into that heart space with him at that time and have her awakening then? And the answer is complicated on a lot of levels because it depends on the person, it depends on the soul. It also depends on the journey and how much you have to overcome in order to be able to wake up to who you truly are. And often what happens with these types of connections is that maybe you will have touch points throughout your life. Maybe you meet at first and the meeting doesn't seem like anything special, but then maybe you meet again later on and there is another activation. We as 3D humans look at a particular meeting with somebody as maybe insignificant if nothing has happened or you don't feel any great emotion. But on a soul level, meeting somebody could be activating a particular energy within you, and you may not be aware of it until much later on. It is about planting seeds. It's about getting into a place of understanding where you are in relation to where you are meant to be. And sometimes souls will come into our life to plant these seeds and we don't even realize that they're doing it until years later, which was the case certainly with Maggie. She didn't realize until after she had the vision of his death that this was somebody who was important to her on a soul level. Once we make that connection, it can be life-changing. It can transform the way that we think, the way that we feel, the way that we connect to others. It can have a profound effect on every single aspect of our three-dimensional life as well as our spiritual life. And each and every one of us decides ahead of time before we incarnate what kind of experience our awakening is going to be. And it just so happens that with Maggie, this is how her soul decided that she was going to wake up. With this person that she was connected to in the very beginning of their relationship, she had no idea. And for him, when we looked into the records, we realized that she is going to help him with his awakening process in another lifetime. Now, how that happens, that's going to be up to them to create that experience prior to that lifetime that they incarnate in together. It can be a painful experience. This is very similar to a twin flame connection, where if you are the more awakened counterpart and the other person is completely unaware of your connection on a heart level or soul level, it can be really heavy to carry that weight of knowing who that other person is to you while they are still in the dark. It can be really difficult to not only deal with the fact that you're the only person feeling that connection at that time, but also allowing the other person to have the experience that they are meant to have and not try to convince or push that person into having an experience that you feel that they should have. A lot of our awakening experiences have to do with allowing. It has to do with having those seeds planted, having the experiences we're meant to have, and letting things unfold naturally the way that they are meant to. Had Maggie had the experience of connecting with him later on in life, would she have woken up sooner? The answer is no, because this is exactly the way that they had planned for her to be able to wake up. This was the most effective way that she was going to be able to wake up. There were a lot of fears that she had in the past in terms of her spiritual gifts. There were a lot of things that she really struggled with in terms of outside judgment of other people in her three-dimensional world, judging her for what she thought or felt regarding spiritual gifts or spiritual practices. Most of these experiences that we have throughout are there to show us the things that we need to uncover. I talk a lot about my awakening process, which has been a lifelong journey, of course. And of course, there have been moments where I have not been connected at all. And there have been moments where I've been incredibly connected. But either way, the great awakening moment came when I met my twin flame. That is when I was able to finally shed everything that I was holding on to that was holding me back. Now, that took years. It actually took over a decade for that to happen for me. But it started when we met. When you meet somebody in that way and they activate you in a way that changes your life, it is really easy to place that gratitude on them for triggering that experience within you. And of course, having gratitude for the other person for helping you to wake up is a beautiful thing to have. But don't forget to give yourself that credit that you deserve for doing all the work that you have done in order to get to where you are. When you do meet somebody who does not recognize who you are to them on a soul level, it is okay. It can be painful, but it will get better. I promise you. They may recognize who you are in this lifetime. They may not. It just depends on your individual journey. But just know that that feeling of connection that you have is not just going to happen with one person. It can happen with many people, many connections, friends, coworkers even. It can happen with many, many people. And you have most likely stacked the deck in your favor in terms of your soul's journey, that once you get to the place of understanding who you are and you are fully on your life path, the amount of people who will start to open the door and come into your life in order to help you on this journey is astonishing. So just understand that even if you meet somebody and the connection is not reciprocal, that there will always be somebody there who will hold that container for you, who will hold that space for you, who will see you, understand you, and know you through and through, just as you have known this person maybe that you had met in your experience. The only way that you can really know why somebody is in your life or why you've met somebody is to go into your own Akashic Records and figure out what the relationship is between the two of you. If this is something you can do on your own, I highly encourage you to go into the records and connect in with that person's soul and open your records and see how many lifetimes you've had together. See if they're part of your soul family. Ask the question about your soul contracts and what they are and why you've incarnated together in this particular lifetime. If you do not have access to the records just yet, then feel free to book a session with me, and that's something we can certainly cover. Maggie's soul purpose was essentially being a container, holding a beautiful energetic space in order for somebody to do their healing. And I want to address the idea of holding space. And I laugh about it because there was that really famous interview with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, and the interviewer said something about holding space, and Ariana Grande said something about not really even understanding what that means. And so I'm here to tell you what that means. Holding space means not putting forth effort. It is about not forcing your will. It is also about not retreating or removing your energy from a particular situation. It is about exactly what it sounds like. You are standing there in quiet reverence for whatever it is that that person might be going through. You are supporting them in an energy of balance and really listening to what they may need, asking them what they may need in order to go through whatever it is that they are going through. When you're going through a dark night of the soul, how easy is it to just flail and cry and go through those deep, dark shadows by yourself? It's not easy at all. But if you have somebody there to witness or to be in a space of understanding and acknowledging what you are going through, sometimes that can make all the difference in the world. That is what holding space is. It is about being a witness. It is about creating a safe space for somebody to go through something that they don't have to go through alone if they don't want to. And this is Maggie's entire soul purpose, to hold that space for people to do their energetic healing. One of the things she expressed was that when she was traveling in Ireland, she got really, really ill based on the energy that was there. And that can certainly happen, especially if you are somebody who is as open energetically that she is. If you are somebody who has a particular soul purpose that is a container holding space, if you are a light worker who is a lighthouse, who is really anchoring in those high energy frequencies, you could have a tendency to get physically ill when you are in a place that is in low energy or that is in a chaotic energy. And one of the things that I would recommend is that if you find yourself in that place, make sure you're doing your clearing practices. Make sure you're doing everything that you can in order to protect your energy. And then if you can, move away from that particular place. And it's not going to be an entire country. It'll be a specific place in a city or a particular town, or maybe even as micro scale as a house or an apartment that you're in, that maybe if you move from that particular place, that the energy is better. So listen to your intuition, listen to your body, listen to what it's telling you, and don't feel like you have to cater to what everybody else is doing if it is energetically compromising you. Speak up, say something, and change your environment if you need to. I talked about this in one of the other podcasts as well. I had gone to Strasbourg and I was staying in a place where there was a negative portal, or what I would perceive to be a negative portal. And there was nothing I could do about closing it. And so I decided to not stay there another night. I was scheduled to stay there for 2 nights. And I decided that I was going to leave after the first night. And that was the best decision that I could have made. Did I lose a little bit of money? Yeah, but it was worth it for my own energetic sovereignty. So make sure you're checking in with yourself and the place where you are to see what energies are affecting you and how you feel in that particular space. The last subject I want to address today is about how I share a lot of stories about my own life in order to help get a point across to a client. When I first started doing these readings, I really was following the idea of not sharing anything about my own life, similar to maybe what a therapist would do, because I felt like it was better for me not to interject my own stories, until I started realizing that in fact my angels and guides were giving me situations from my lifetime that were actually pertinent to what the client was going through. And once I started figuring that out, I was like, okay, that's why that situation is popping up in my head. This is why this particular event from my past is now all of a sudden in the forefront of my mind. I was a little reticent initially to start sharing those things, but I have now since realized that every time I do, it does spark some form of connection to the story. There's always the chance that you are trying to connect a story from your own life to theirs, where maybe it's not exactly the same, but maybe they're trying to make it fit. And I have to say to that is up to the person in their individual journey as to how they're going to connect to that story. And this was a really great example of that with Maggie, where I was telling her a story about something that happened to me in college because we couldn't identify the person that we were doing the clearing for the soul contract. We basically were able to get there because of the story that my angels and guides showed me, because she had had a very similar experience with somebody who was critiquing the writing of her book. This is where a lot of people get sort of caught up when they are learning how to use their intuition, because they just think that it's a memory. They just think it's a story from their own life, and it couldn't possibly be an intuition. And I'm here to tell you that you have to use everything at your disposal. Every single aspect of you, your personality, your knowledge, everything that you are is game for your angels and guides to give you intuitions. So don't discount anything that comes in. Really allow yourself to be open to whatever is coming in for whatever reason. Maybe you're getting a memory because it's something you still need to work on. Maybe you're feeling an emotion because it's something that needs to be released from your body.
And maybe you're getting a repeating pattern that's coming up that is part of your intuition that's saying, hey, don't repeat this pattern again. If you want to learn how to do this and you haven't learned quite how to do it yet, please join me for Soul Discovery Workshop. Our new session is going to be starting in February 2026. You can sign up for the wait list on my website and you'll get an early bird discount if you sign up. It is something that is important for you to connect to, because once you're able to start connecting into your intuition, you can make sure that you are on the right life path. You can really tap into that powerful energy of your soul purpose and start making a difference in not only your own life, but in the lives of the people around you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to connecting with you again next week.
If you're enjoying this podcast, it would be really amazing if you could like, share, and subscribe. Wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it's Apple or Spotify, feel free to give it a review if you feel called. If you are following me on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you are notified for every single new episode of the Akashic Recordings. If you feel called to book a session with me, you can always reach me at infinitesoullove.com, and you can book directly on my website. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I can't wait to connect with you next week.